They don't pay us to think. They pay us to know. We know we can beat them. There's no excuses why we shouldn't. Win the game, period. W's on 3, man. Let's go. W on 3. 1, 2, 3. W.
All right, so we're back for the second half. I've got my glass of wine. You feel free to join me if you're out there. Broncos start with the second half rock, and Chad Kelly is picking up right where the Broncos left off in the first half with Case Keenum, as they're moving right down the field. They got Henderson. I believe that's the running back they drafted in the draft 2 years ago out of Coastal Carolina. He had a nice little run, almost broke another one after a delivery from Chad Kelly out of the backfield. Deshaun Hamilton just made a nice little catch. Excuse me. Chad Kelly has a long release. It's not the cleanest release, but he's been super effective this year in the preseason, so much so that he's moved up the depth chart to number 2 for the Broncos, leaping over Paxton Lynch, whose days in Denver are probably numbered. It's not looking too good for him, but in any event, what I would like to do is focus in on these specific guys that are looking to make the football team, like Sean Dion Hamilton. I'm going to be looking at 51 a lot tonight, seeing if he's starting to get his legs back, seeing if he can run around and make some plays. Going up top. Good play by the defensive back, Alexander. Okay, that's who that cornerback was with the dreads. I remember I asked y'all earlier in the game. I said, who the hell is that cornerback with dreads? Boy, he's huge. Jesus, Adonis Alexander is huge. That's a good play by Adonis, too. He looked back for the ball, did a great job of really getting a feel for where the receiver was and railing him into the sidelines and feeling him out, finding the ball, and then raking the ball out of there. Adonis Alexander looks good right now. I saw him earlier, and I didn't know who the hell he was. Now I know who he is, and that's a hell of a play. And he's huge. Adonis Alexander is huge. I know what I got in Tim Settle. I'm not worried about Tim Settle at all. We got us a ball player with Tim Settle. He about to dominate this second half because he be eating up these second-string linemen. I want to see him turn it up against these starters. Tackle Adonis. Good tackle, boy. So they're going to have to settle for a field goal. Redskins sent a blitz off the edge. DeShazer Everett came screaming off the edge unblocked. And they threw a comeback to Hamilton, and Alexander had to make a tackle to stop him from trying to get a first down. That's a great tackle by Adonis Alexander. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. In the short snippets I've seen from him tonight, he's moved well. He located the football on the last play and broke it up. Makes a nice tackle there. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Adonis Alexander. As the Broncos add another field goal to their total to now make it 20-3 over the Redskins. They're having a really good night on offense, are the Denver Broncos. As we get to the comment section, Jeff P. asks the following. You think Sean Dion Hamilton makes a roster? Yes, I do. They're not going to give up on his talents. They feel like they got a steal with Sean Dion Hamilton in the, 5th, 6th round, wherever they got him. If he wasn't injured, they thought he would have went earlier, like 3rd or 4th round. So to get him in the 6th round, I believe it was, or the 5th or 6th round, they feel good about that selection. And I think they like what they see in him. And they feel like he's not even all the way back yet. And so I think they're going to continue to work with him. He's one of those guys that I don't think they feel like they can cut loose and sneak him onto the practice squad. And so I think they're going to hold on to him for sure. Again, generally with the draft picks, you pick and choose which ones you want to cut bait on. But generally, you want to hold on to your draft picks. You saw something in those guys that warranted a selection. And if you allow them to be exposed to the rest of the league, you run the risk of somebody snatching up your stuff. So I think Sean Deion Hamilton is one of those guys that the Redskins like. And we don't have a ton of depth at linebacker. You know, Nick Vigil is it. You know, we don't have a bunch of guys that we love at linebacker. You've got Zach Brown, Mason Foster, and Vigil. That's really, and Martrell Spate. That's really the crux of what we have at inside linebacker. And when you play a 3-4 defense, you need more linebackers than anything else. You probably need 4 inside linebackers and 4 edge rushers. So 8 linebackers total. Is he going to make the team over Vigil? I don't know. That's a good question. Now that I think about it, if they're going to keep 4 pass rushers, which Ryan Anderson, I think they're going to – they may cut my man from Chicago, Pernell McPhee. I don't think they will. That's the 2 backups. Then you look at the 2 starters, obviously Kerrigan and then you bring in Kerrigan and P. Boogie. That's 4. And then I already mentioned the 4 inside linebackers. I don't know if they keep 9. If they do keep a 9th, it'll be Sean Deion Hamilton. For sure. And now that I'm thinking about it, they like Josh Harvey Clemens too. And they think he brings a different element as an ex-safety, a guy that can run with tight ends. Never mind. I take that back. I'm not 100% sure that Sean Deion Hamilton makes this roster. Now that I think about it, he may be one of those draft picks that don't make the roster. Because if they keep a 9th, then that guy might be Josh Harvey Clemens. And I think they really, really like Josh Harvey Clemens. So I take that back. I don't know if there's a roster spot with Sean Deion Hamilton's name on it. I really don't. At first, you know, and I'm one of those people, I just start talking, and then as I talk, I start remembering things. He might be the 10th linebacker right now, if you're looking at the group as a whole. You're talking inside linebackers, he might be the 6th. They may only keep 4 inside linebackers, maybe 5. If they're keeping 5, he's still on the outside looking in, because I think JHC is in front of him. So that's a really good question, man. One that I don't have the answer to, honestly speaking. JP says, people are getting upset over a preseason game. We don't even have a full unit out there. Hashtag get a grip, people. Look, this wasn't pleasant to watch. So, obviously, it's going to invoke emotions out of people. Everyone handles these things differently. Some people get upset. Myself, I was disappointed, more so than upset. You know, some people are indifferent about it. Bottom line is, as you mentioned, it's a preseason game, and you have to take it with a grain of salt. So it is what it is. Jeff P says, I'm not a fan of Vigil. I'm not a huge fan of Vigil either. I feel the same way about Vigil as I did Will Compton. Like, I'm cool with Comp as a backup. I'm cool with Nick Vigil as a backup. I don't have a problem with Nick Vigil if he doesn't see the field. When Nick Vigil hits the field, then you feel comfortable that he'll be where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there, but you don't feel confident that he's going to make plays. That's how I felt about Will Compton. That's how I feel about Nick Vigil. Rodney Ray says, what up, Lou? And Redskin fam, at work, couldn't watch the game, but I will be listening in. Well, bruh, if you haven't been keeping track, you're in for a rude awakening because the first half was a disaster. Other than Adrian Peterson, the first half was an abject disaster, and the second half hasn't been much better. Broncos already went down and got a field goal, and the offense just came onto the field and went 3 and out. So, hasn't been much better. in the second half. This has not been a good game for the Washington Redskins as a whole. You could argue that Tressway has been the best player on the field for the Redskins, not named Adrian Peterson. That's not good. That's not good at all. Trapping Too Long says, missing Cam Sims. Yeah, he injured his leg in practice, and he's not playing tonight. And if for a guy trying to make the roster, the one thing he could ill afford was an injury right now. The 20th Mike says, you sure are wearing that black today. This wasn't even an intentional dressed in all black like the Omen. Remember, if it was all black, I wouldn't even be having on a cap with color. I'd have on my all black Redskins fitted. But I probably was dressing for the occasion. Now that, you know, subconsciously, I probably was dressing for the occasion. I probably, in my heart of hearts, knew that this was about to be a very lackluster performance. And so in the sport of not having to change it up, I just came prepared with the all black, except the hat. Good observation, 20th Mike. Farrah Cody says, at least we weren't the only team this week that didn't look good. Pats didn't look good either with Tom Brady. But don't do this. Do not compare the Washington Redskins, who have won 0 Super Bowl championships in the last 20 years, to the Tom Brady-led New England Patriots, who over the last 20 years have won 5 Super Bowls. So let's not do that, though, okay? They can have a piss-poor preseason where nobody plays well and then go 13-3, because that's what they do, and they play in the AFC East. We play in the NFC East. Not the same division, not easiest to navigate, and we're not going to go 13-3. We're not going to get home field advantage. We're not going to get a first-round bye, and we're not going to go to the Super Bowl, which the New England Patriots most likely will. At worst, barring any catastrophic injuries, they're going to the AFC Championship game because they've been to the last 6 AFC Championships games. That's what they do. Or the last 4 or 5. They didn't go in 2015 when the Broncos went to the Super Bowl. So, yes, they did. They didn't go in 2013 when the Broncos went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Seahawks. I think the Broncos, I might be lying. They might have went that year too. They've been to the AFC Championship game, see, like the last 7 years straight. Anyway, Simplex says, don't you wish Doxson got a look? It's a make or break year for him. I would have liked to have seen them get all the receivers involved a little bit sooner than they did. Another big run for the Broncos on the ground. DeShazer Everett with the tackle. This Lindsey running back, man, is eating our ass alive tonight. Jamison Crowder is about to speak. I'm going to shut up and let y'all hear him talk.
We got Jamison Crowder representing the Duke. We were on probation when that happened, James. Hey, we were on probation, all right? No credit for that. Look, how are you feeling this year?
I'm feeling great, man. Just ready to, get back out here and, contribute to the team. Glad we got Alex. He's been a good quarterback in the game and summer camp, so I'm ready to get back out here, man. I'm feeling good.
Has there been a huge change with Kirk and Alex?
Offensively, not really. As far as, the plays and stuff, pretty much the same. I think that, Alex is a little bit more experienced. You can tell he's a little more seasoned than Kirk. Like I said, I'm excited to get out here and, play with Alex this year, man, and the offensive guys, and I just can't wait.
A lot of question marks about the receiving corps, but how do you feel about it being one of the leaders?
We got a lot of talent in the room, man, and I think that the guys that got in there to this point, we've all kind of pushed each other. It's a lot of competition in there, so day in, day out, we got to go out there individually and make plays because the guy next to us out there making plays. So I like it, man. I like the room that we have. Like I said, a lot of talent, and I look forward to playing with the boys.
They say you're making a lot of noise about getting in the preseason game to get on the field and show these fans what you were ready for. You can hold out. How bad did you really want to play in this preseason?
Anytime it's a game, I want to get out there, man. I deal with a little bit of tightness, man. So, the coach, it was the coach's decision, man. They didn't want me to, hold out. So, I'm just going to get back to practice next week and, get back out there and see how I go.
I tried
set him up. No one wants to play in the preseason show, not even you.
I did, Clinton, yes I did. I love playing in the preseason. I just love being out there. Hey, I returned punch for crying out loud.
All right, so that was Jamison Crowder there. And like you heard, he had a little tightness in the hammy. Nothing major. So Jay decided to hold him out. Right thing to do. Obviously, this game means absolutely zero. So you want to make sure that these guys get to the starting blocks. That's the most important thing. And so Jay held him out. And we'll see the Redskins at full strength. Thank God. Obviously, minus Darius, guys. That was the only guy that didn't make it of all the guys. So if you're telling me out of a full 53-man roster, the only guy that didn't make it was Darius, guys, I feel fortunate. I feel good because what you got to understand is you can't miss something you never had. We never got to really see Darius, guys. We didn't know what he was going to bring to the table. There was a level of excitement that came with Darius, guys, but we didn't know. So it's hard for me to miss something I never had. We used to say the same thing with Junior Gillette when he would get hurt every year. And everybody would be all disappointed. And I'm like, well, I'm not really that disappointed because we never had Junior Gillette. He didn't give us 10.5 sacks for us to be disappointed and upset, mad that we were going to be missing 10.5 sacks. We never got that. So hard to really miss something you never had. Same thing with Darius, guys. Okay, good play by Sean Deion Hamilton, man. They threw a corner route to the tight end. It was a good ball by Chad Kelly, and Sean Deion Hamilton got there as soon as the ball did. It would have been a touchdown had he not broke it up. Last second, he came down on the tight end. He got there early. He got there a little early, but they didn't throw the flag. And, hey, look, if they don't flag you, it's a good play. So that's what they need to see out of Sean Deion Hamilton. If he's going to make this roster, it's going to be because of plays like that. He was beat, though. Don't get it twisted. He was beat, but he recovered beautifully, gave himself a chance, and was able to make the play to stop a touchdown. Because, as usual, the Broncos are in Redskins territory trying to score another touchdown. Redskins are trying to hold them to another field goal. After the Sean Deion Hamilton breakup, DeShazier Everett, makes a tackle at the line of scrimmage. So that's going to set up 3rd and 10 from the Redskins' 21-yard line. So back to Simplex's comment. Yeah, I would have wished Doxson got more targets early in the game, man. I would have liked to have seen, like I said, all the receivers kind of get worked in. Alex was fixated on oh, shit. What do you know? Ryan Anderson with some pressure. Such a rarity. Obviously, it came against the backup, but I don't give a shit at this point. Any Ryan Anderson pressure is good pressure and welcomed pressure. So look at that. Ryan Anderson actually beating somebody off the edge for a change. Now, he didn't get a sack, but he forced pressure that got rid of the football and forced the Broncos to have to settle for a field goal. I feel good, man. Good job. Wow. Anyway, so I would have liked to have seen everybody get touches early just to get everybody involved and get them engaged in the game. But like I told you, you could tell early on that the game plan was, hey, let's get Adrian Peterson involved. Let's get him acclimated to game speed and getting hit and all of those things. That was a strong drive by Sean Deion Hamilton right there. Broncos get the field goal, add 3, 23-3 is now your score in this game. But they didn't do that. They wanted to get Adrian Peterson involved, get AD the football. They did that, and it came at the expense of the passing game. But I still thought Jay and company could have done a better job of getting Josh Doxson a touch, a slant, a bubble screen, a hitch, anything. Just get him the football. Get him involved. Same thing with P. Rich, even though P. Rich had 2 nice catches, a slant, and he had a over route that could have been more if he'd have stayed on his feet. But he would have loved to have seen Doxson get involved. Absolutely. Blackbird Blitz asked me what wine am I sipping. I'm sipping Dublin cool muscadine. I'm a muscadine wine guy. For those of you who didn't join me last year on the Louie T Live program, I'm a dumpling guy, man. I drink muscadine. It's a grape, a huge grape. This is the one I'm drinking right now, but it's not. This is not my favorite muscadine, but dumpling is my favorite brand. It's based out of Carolina. I could sit here and talk to you about this all night long, but I'm not. That's not why we're here. Skins Tribe says, do we need to put the Redskins in a plastic baggie and recycle them? Nah, we good, man. It was frustrating tonight, very disappointing, but we good, man. We'll be all right. Jeff P says, it's tough being up here in Boston, being a Skins fan. Don't compare the Skins to the Pats. Brady is the GOAT. Amen, Jeff. Amen. Couldn't have said it better myself. Alex Lynch says, I have a good idea of who Alex is. He's the same quarterback as in KC that only throws to the receivers when they are wide open and stares down the tight ends. He will not throw the receivers on a post. That I've heard those types of criticisms from people in the know in Kansas City, as I mentioned before. And so I disregarded them because of the season Alex had last year. But there is some validity to those claims, and looking at him tonight, he looked like a guy that turned down some opportunities. And remember, Jay said that he wanted his quarterback, this was a shot at Kirk Cousins, he wanted his quarterback to give his receivers a chance to make plays. Alex Smith, traditionally throughout his career, has not been that quarterback to give his guys a chance. He's been more on the conservative side than the aggressive side. Jay is much more aggressive. That's why him and Kirk never really hit it off as player and coach, because Kirk is more of a cerebral thinker. He's much more like Sean McVay than he is Jay Gruden. You know, Sean is like, hey, let's take this check down. Hey, let's take this hitch. You know, he's one of those you can't go broke making a profit type of guys, whereas Jay is like, hey, look, I understand the check down was there for 6, but if you would have waited a second longer and drove it down the field, that deep post was there. It's one-on-one. You got to take a shot. So Clinton is talking to Zach Brown. I'm going to shut up and let y'all listen, and then we'll come back.
You expect a lot. You know, we don't have a lot of movement on the front line. You know, for us right now, we're just trying to get the sacks. You got to get to the quarterback. You got to move, crush the pocket. You can't have him sitting back there picking us apart. You got to challenge the receivers for the ball. That's what we really have to do.
Last year, you had no one in front of you. As far as D-line, this year, I would have said you got a bunch of young guys. How excited are you about those guys?
I'm very excited, you know, especially about Big Payne, having John back and, you know, having Ionitis coming back is good, because now we don't have to worry about the A-gap. Now I can really just play ball and be all over the place, really.
The addition of the linebackers, I think the linebackers are upgraded as well, bringing in McPhee. A couple other guys got some talent. Deion Hamilton coming in. What can we expect out of those guys?
Fee, I expect a lot of Fee. You know, he's a vet. You know, I expect him to do what he's supposed to do. Deion Hamilton, you know, he's coming along. He got a little more land. Very standard play.
If we're going to hold this over to the defense, Zach Brown, back up to you guys.
Oh, man. Zach, you can tell when Clinton be putting these dudes on the spot. And Colt pissed off, boy. He went to the sideline. Colt just took a sack. Shane Ray threw his ass on the ground. And if you're the Redskins, I'd call the Denver Broncos, not now, right now, and see what the hell they want for Shane Ray. Because we don't have that. We don't have anything on our roster that looks like that. What he just did to that backup tackle, Klein, or Kling, that shit, you get arrested in 50... In 47 of the 50 states, you get arrested for what he just did to him. He ran right by that man like he was standing still and got to Colt McCoy and then tossed Colt McCoy on the ground like a rag doll. And Colt went to the sideline cussing and fussing, and he should have, because he didn't even have a shot on that play. We don't have one guy on our team that when you snap the ball, you don't have a shot. That was pretty. That was beautiful. Anyway, yeah, Colt's still pissed. He's still hot over there. Anyway, Zach Brown said, yeah, we got to get to the quarterback. Yeah, you're right. We do. And, you know, the thing that's funny is, and now the trainers are over by Colt. Maybe that's why he was cussing and fussing, because he might have hurt something. Anyway, he also made mention of some players. McPhee, he was searching for something to say nice about McPhee. There was nothing to say. He's a vet. That's when you know there is no added value when a guy goes straight to, yeah, he's a vet and he's going to help a lot. You didn't give me anything. You just told me he was an old player. That's all you said. Okay. There was nothing for him to say. McPhee adds no value, no nutritional value. He's an oatmeal pie. There's no nutritional value in that, man. Just a bunch of garbage you put in your body. No nutritional value there. And then you heard him say Sean Dion has a lot to learn, so that tells you he's not ready either, which he's not, but still. Anyway, back to the comment section. Matthew Lynch made a great point about Alex Smith and him turning down receivers who aren't wide open and forcing it to tight ends and checking down the running backs. That's something that may be our reality this year. 1 year doesn't make you a different quarterback. We've got Alex Smith is in his 13th season. We've got 12 years. We've got 11 years of Alex Smith checking it down and being overly cautious with the football. And we got 1 year of Alex Smith pushing the football down the field and being a playmaker. That was last year. We're hoping that last year is more of what we're getting this year. But if history repeats itself, we're getting more of the guy that we've seen for the first 11 years of his career and not the guy that we saw last year. The guy that finally eclipsed 4,000 yards for the first time in his career last year. So I think Matthew Lynch may be on to something. The 20th Mike says, AJ is doing better than the offense. After we were crying about the run game, now the offense is wetting the bed. LOL. So I think Colt hurt something, his wrist or something, because he's over there with the trainers. He's throwing the football now, and he keeps looking at his wrist. So let me see what happened. Oh, he jammed a bunch of his fingers. When he threw the football one play, the first play of the possession, he jammed his fingers into the linebacker that was rushing him. So his fingers are going to be jacked tomorrow. Farrah Cody says, maybe we just weren't playing hard this game. You never know why we look bad. I just think we just look bad. I don't think we were playing bad. I don't think we were playing bad because we weren't feeling well. I just think we just didn't play well. It happens. You don't have your A game every game. The difference is when the good teams don't have their A game, they still have a chance to win. When the bad teams don't have their A game, usually they lose or get blown out. So what up, Rick? Skins Tribe says, yo, raise your glass and pull up, man. Cheers, everybody. Gregory Lightbody says, Junior Gillette still wanting to be a Redskins. We should pick him up. Man, we could sure use Junior Gillette, but they're stubborn. They're not gonna give Junior a look-see, man. And I don't know why they think Pernell McPhee is an upgrade or, at worst, a push. Pernell McPhee is a bum. He's a bum that does nothing more so than stop the run, like Ryan Anderson. Like, he's not going to get any pressure on the quarterback. Pernell McPhee's best football, long gone. They left when he left Baltimore. That was not the last contract. That was in Chicago. It's the contract before that one. So we're 2 contracts removed from good Pernell McPhee. So I have no confidence in his ability to get to the quarterback. I have no confidence in really anybody's ability to get to the quarterback. We know Kerrigan's going to get there a few times. So is P Boogie. But nobody's dominant. Nobody is explosive and dynamic. That's what Junior Gillette brought to the table. So the fact that they couldn't agree on a number, it sucks because the Redskins had a number in mind. Gillette had another number in mind. He wanted close to the money that Trent Murphy got in Buffalo. Murphy signed a 3-year, $21 million deal, so $7 million per year. Who made that tackle in the backfield? Anthony Lanier, playing his ass off. Yeah, Lanier is he's gonna be a player, man. I like Lanier a lot, man. I think he need to play more, as a matter of fact. Anyway, Trent Murphy got a 3-year, $21 million deal in Buffalo this offseason. And the problem with that for Junior was, like, I watched this dude come off an injury. And the year before that, he had a career-high 7.5 sacks. And this man got $7 million per. I'm asking you, and he made it seem like he was asking for less than that. You know, he sounded like he was asking for like maybe a 2-year, $12 million deal or something like that, the way he made it seem. I can't confirm nor deny that. Just the way he was talking. He was like, I'm not even asking for that. No, and he said, I can't even get that. So I don't know what he was asking for, but, you know, Bruce is very frugal. We've talked about that in the past. You know, when it's a guy that he wants to sign, he'll spend the money, i.e. Pierre Garçon, excuse me, i.e. Paul Richardson. You know, both of those situations, similar contracts, and they both were rate around the same amount, and they were both looked at upon at the time as contracts that were a little high for the guys that they were paying for. Garçon turned out to be worth every penny, and we're hoping Paul Richardson is the same. So when he wants to spend on someone, he will, but he didn't want to spend on Junior Gillette. He didn't want to do it. And so they probably trying to lowball Junior with like a 1-year, $3 million deal, and Junior was like, come on, bro. I'm better than that. Like, can I at least get 5.5? And they was like, yo, we'll give you 3.5. Take it or leave it. And Junior was like, man, that ain't enough, bro. And they was like, all right, cool. We'll just go in a different direction. So, and again, I'm speculating here, but I know it's a money issue. And it sucks because Gillette could definitely help us. Real talk. RC3 Gaming says, Jay is just horrible, man. It's sad we haven't seen anything from our past game, and he benches them. Season looking darker and darker. Relax. I get where you're coming from, though, RC3. I do get where you're coming from. I wanted to see him more in this game, too. I was disappointed that we didn't see more of them, but fact of the matter is, one thing I know Jay can do is scheme up some offense. And so we'll have a shot come the regular season with all our horses. We'll have Jay Reed. We'll have Crowder, Dotson. The passing game will look exponentially better. Trust me. Listen to me when I say the pass offense will be just fine if Alex Smith, and he's the key to all of this. You remember, I tried to tell you guys, there are a lot of people out there that wanted Kirk gone. You're going to find out this year just how valuable Kirk Cousins was to this football team. Because if Alex Smith, it don't matter how many guys we got out there and the skill level of these guys, good play by Apke, it doesn't matter if Alex isn't getting these guys to football. So we'll see. I have confidence in Alex Smith's ability to get the football to the right guy and in a position where he can catch it and run after the catch. I just think tonight was a bad night for him. But Alex is a veteran. We know that this guy can perform at a high level. We saw it last year. We've seen it in the past. He took the 49ers. He helped the 49ers get to he took the 49ers to the NFC Championship game. It was the next year that Kaepernick took them to the Super Bowl. So we've seen him take his team to the NFC Championship game. We've seen him Broncos add another field goal. So now it's 26-3. We've seen him go toe-to-toe with Tom Brady in the playoffs. What was it? 2 years ago? They gave Kansas City everything they could ask for. beat the brakes off. Well, they didn't beat the brakes off of him. Beat the brakes off of him last year in the first game of the season. Alex Smith did that. We know Alex can play at a high level when he's in the zone. We just need to get him there. So. Jeff P says, we've been going defense early and often in the draft recently. Do you think we go wide receiver next year in round 1? Hard to say right now because what you have to look at is what we do this year. You know, if Josh Doctson emerges as a true number 1 wide receiver, which we don't think he will. We all think we know who Josh Doctson is as a football player, which is perfectly fine. He's a number 2, I think, in this league. And we may have a legit number 2 in Paul Richardson. I don't think he's a number 1. And so if you got 2 2s, that's cool. You don't have a number 1. But let's say one of those guys emerges as a real threat as a number 1 wide receiver. Then all of a sudden you don't need a number 1 wide receiver. Now your focus turns to re-signing Crowder in the offseason and coming back with the group that you did. Let's say we win 10 games. Let's say Alex Smith throws for 4,000 again. Let's say that Paul Richardson emerges as a number 1 receiver. He looks like Emmanuel Sanders. Let's say he starts to play like Emmanuel Sanders in Pittsburgh. Balls and has 1,072 yards this year and looks the part of a number 1. And Doctson steps up and has 899 yards receiving this year, and he looks the part of a true number 2. Then you don't need to draft the first round wide receiver. So then you would turn your attention. Look, Preston Smith is a free agent next year. We're not going to re-sign Preston Smith unless Preston Smith is going to take less. Wide open receiver. Colt got hit as he was throwing it, but he got it to Kinsey. Oh, no, that was Hogan. Hogan's in the game now. And he got it to Kinsey for the biggest gain of the night by far, about 40 yards down the field. Nice play by Hogan under duress to move and extend and get the ball to a wide open receiver. If he was able to put that on the money, it's a foot race. But receiver had to wait on the ball. But hell, Hogan did a hell of a job just to get it there. However, so it's hard to really say what we'll do in the first round. It's impossible to decipher what we'll do in the draft at this point. We haven't even played 1 regular season game yet. So they're talking to Alex Smith. I'll shut up and let you guys listen.
Paul Charles and now Adrian Peterson. I'm standing here with Alex Smith. How has that journey been?
Yeah, I mean, it's the longer you play, those are the guys who kind of remember, the special teammates, and I've been fortunate enough to share the backfield with some special ones. It was fun tonight to see AP get going, and that helps out.
So we've struggled with the running game in recent years. You finally get the opportunity to have a running game. I know you RPO quarterback. So how excited were you about that?
Yeah, I thought that was point of emphasis for us tonight. Trying to come out here and run the ball a little bit. And I thought we did that. It was a good fun. Unfortunately, not the way we want to start with 2 3 and outs, but we're able to get some rhythm going. Definitely some things to improve on, but like I said, that was one of the points we wanted to get going, and I thought we did a good job of that tonight.
Speaking of the great backs you played with, you had the opportunity to be the face of 3 organizations now: San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City, and now here with Redskin Nation. What's been different about coming here?
They're all so different. With this, I just think where I'm at in my career and coming here, and to have the opportunity to come here and put on this uniform and to have a gig, so appreciative of it. Take it as far as I can, run with it every single day. Having gone through what I've gone through in my past, I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And like I said, I take it on that challenge. New division, back to a different conference. Excited for that.
We needed a leader. We needed a new voice. Hey, Joe, you can lead.
And you got to do what? Hey, I got to tell you, too.
So that was Alex Smith, and you heard what Alex said, and I thought it was pretty poignant that he said the emphasis tonight was to run it. And you could tell Jay made a point tonight to run it. I told you it was less emphasis on the pass game, more on the run game tonight early on. But still, you still wanted to move the sticks. You still wanted to pick up first downs and get into a rhythm. And with Vernon Davis on the drop and Vernon Davis not stretching the football, it didn't help Alex Smith out. If Vernon Davis catches that first ball, maybe Alex Smith doesn't look as skittish as he did tonight. But with Vernon Davis dropping that first ball and us going 3 and out, it really hurt any kind of continuity and rhythm that you were trying to get into tonight. And I thought it really affected the way the passing game looked moving forward. But as you listen to Alex talk, I just thought about something listening to him talk. As Hogan has the Redskins in Broncos. Oh, touchdown. Hogan to Simi Cobbs Jr. for a touchdown. Nice throw by Hogan. Oh, hold on. Hold the show. Is there a flag? The way Hogan is looking back, he's looking like there's something on the field. Let's see. He's still looking around like he's lost or something. No, I think it's a touchdown. That's a great throw by Hogan and a nice route and catch by Simi Cobbs for 7. I really thought Simi Cobbs was going to have a really good shot at making the roster, but Cam Sims ended up coming up and being the big receiver that actually had a shot, not Simi Cobbs. But anyway, back to my original point that I was listening to Alex talk, and as I listened to Alex talk, what I realized is that with Adrian Peterson in the lineup now, we go back to a situation that is advantageous for Alex. Remember, we spoke about Alex Smith and the inability for us to run the football, meaning he was going to struggle. He needs a run game. We can't function properly with Alex Smith as the quarterback without a real run game. And now with Adrian Peterson, and as he showed tonight against the Denver Broncos ones, and they've got a very formidable defense, he can run the football effectively. And if that's the case, if we can run it with Adrian Peterson, it's going to allow Alex to just be Alex Smith. He doesn't have to be Kirk Cousins. He doesn't have to be anything other than himself. That's what we want. We don't want Alex Smith coming in here and having to sling it 40 times a game to win us a game. We didn't want Kirk having to sling it 40 times. There were some games where Kirk had to sling it 40 for us to win. Most times when he did, we lost. Bottom line is, we don't want that for Alex Smith. That's not his MO. That's not who he is. We want Alex throwing it anywhere from 25 to 32 times in a game, and we want to be able to be balanced. We haven't been balanced in the last 3 to 4 seasons, and now with Adrian Peterson in the backfield, we may actually be balanced, which means Alex Smith can just be Alex Smith. And at the end of the day, that makes my heart smile, because if we ask Alex Smith to be anything but Alex Smith, if we ask him to carry this team on his back, throw it 42 times, you're asking for trouble, and you're asking Alex Smith to be somebody he's not, and you're asking for trouble. So, listening to him talk, I actually was pleased with what I just heard, and it just made me think of something. Mo L says, we offered Junior 2 for 10, and he declined. So, 2 for 10 is 5 per. If that is legit, that's not a bad deal for a guy coming off of 2 Achilles in a season where, what did he get? Maybe 2.5, 3 sacks at most. He didn't get a ton of snaps. But at the same time, you heard what he said. He watched Trent Murphy get 7 per, and he probably wanted close to that. So, I don't know if I can blame the Redskins for 2 for 10 and him not taking it. If 2 for 10 isn't good enough, then I don't know what to tell him, because it's not like the dude went out and got us 8 sacks last year. And again, he didn't have a ton of snaps, but still, he didn't have enough for him to be demanding too much money. But we could sure use him. I know that much. We could sure use him. The 20th Mike says, Denver defense is still the best in the league. No, it's not the best in the league. It's still a good defense, but they're far from the best in the league. Let me take that back. They're not far from the best in the league. When they're healthy and engaged, we haven't seen this edition of the Broncos defense without Aqib Talib in it, but I love Justin Simmons at safety, and I really think he's coming into his own. And now you're going to see more of Bradley Roby, and they're going to have some other guys have to step up. I think they're still with Von Miller and now adding Chubb, and I really like Adam Gotsis. I think they've got a really formidable front seven and a really solid secondary to match. I think they're going to be just fine, and they'll probably be a top 10 defense again. So, Matthew Lynch says, Junior want the damn vet minimum. And I saw the definition of a pass rush plan and explosiveness when he played. Junior wants way more than the vet minimum. And 2 for 10, if that's legit, I can't confirm nor deny what Mo Els said. Because I never heard any numbers being thrown around. But let's just run with the, here's Paxton Lynch getting a chance late in this game. I haven't heard even Paxton Lynch come in trying to eat, but his receiver dropped the rock. But he had a chance. I haven't heard any numbers, but let's just go with the premise and the notion that the Redskins offered 2 for 10. I can't be mad at the Redskins for offering 2 for 10 and then getting mad when he scoffs at it, because he hasn't done anything to warrant more than $10 million. And let's also remember, 2 for 10 doesn't mean 2 for 10. That might have been 2 for 10, but the Redskins might have said, hey, you only get $10 million if you hit certain incentives. And with the way he was played last year, how's the man going to hit his incentives if he's only playing 35% of the snaps, which was right around what he played last year? You know, it's hard for me to hit my bonus in my accelerator, meaning I get double-digit sacks. Let's say you get 10 sacks, that triggers a $1.5 million bonus. I can't hit that if I'm only playing 35% of the snaps, which makes it tough for me to earn my money. So 2 for 10 sounds good, but how is it actually structured? So Junior turned that 10 down for a reason. Redskins would probably be trying to be slick, if I had to guess. Jeff P says, I love Clinton Portis, man, especially when he was playing, but the dude is a weirdo. It's not so much that he's a weirdo, it's just he's not a great sideline reporter. He doesn't know what he wants to say, and he doesn't know questions beforehand. And his questions put guys on the spot. Like, you can't ask. First of all, you can't say to. I'll give you an example. He was talking to linebacker Zach Brown. He said, you had nothing in front of you last year. Now you got all these young guys. Timeout. Jonathan Allen was there last year. Matt Ioannidis was there last year. Ziggy Hood was there last year. All these guys are on the team right now. You can't say that. You're putting this man in an awkward position. So you're telling him that his teammates from last year weren't any good. Tim Settle with some pressure wasn't able to bring Paxton Lynch down, but that was some great pressure by Tim Settle. Got his hands on the quarterback, but Lynch is a big athletic guy, and he showed it on that play, but Settle got in and almost got a sack. But you can't say that to a guy. You're putting him on the spot, and you're asking him to down his teammates from last year who are still on the roster, including Anthony Lanier and guys like that. And you can't do that. It's a bad question. Another bad question was he asked, I forgot what he asked. Jamison Crowder, he asked him a question. It was a dumb question. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, what are you expecting these guys to say? You know, you don't want to kill anybody. You want to throw anybody under the bus. Like I said, like you said, I love Clinton too. I just don't love him as a sideline reporter. Anyway. So, Redskins finally get a touchdown. It's 26-10. For a recap, for anybody that may have come late to the party, let me recap quickly. Paxton Lynch, a little high on a throw to the flats, up the field actually to the running back. But let me recap for you. If you came late and you haven't seen any of the game, Redskins in the first half had opportunities. First possession of the game, Adrian Peterson runs for 7 yards on the first play of the game. Alex Smith is then sacked on the second play. Very hesitant in the pocket on that play. Needed to make a faster decision. If you don't see what you like, get out of the pocket and go much faster than slow. He hesitated. He who hesitates is last in this league. He hesitated, he got sacked. Set up a 3rd and 9, and Vernon Davis, after Alex Smith was after he was rushed out of the pocket and did a great job of extending the play, rolling to his right to create off schedule, something that we didn't see out of Kirk very often. He finds Vernon Davis wide open on the sidelines, hits him right between the 8 and the 5, and Vernon Davis drops the football. We got a punt. The Broncos then proceed to move the football down the field, and they have to settle for a field goal. It's 3-0. Redskins get the football again. This time, they feature Adrian Peterson, and they move it way down the field. Adrian Peterson looks like a beast on this drive. They get into Broncos territory, and they get in a 4th down situation, and it's 4th and 4. Alex Smith elects to go to Vernon Davis again. 4th and 4 from the Broncos' 31-yard line. He elects to go to Vernon Davis again. Throws a 3-yard out to Vernon Davis. 3.5-yard out to Vernon Davis. All Vernon has to do after catching the football is stretch it out. Instead, he tucks the football away, and he gets tackled short of the first down by a 0.5 yard. Turnover on downs. The Broncos then take the football and proceed to move it all the way down the field, this time culminating in a touchdown in which the Redskins allowed rookie running back out of Oregon to run for about a 24-yard touchdown run in which 3 members of the Redskins secondary missed on a tackle attempt, including Troy Apke. Apke wasn't on that one. That was it was DJ Swearinger, Quentin Dunbar, and Monte Nicholson. So all 3 of them missed on that play, allowing for the touchdown run by the Denver Broncos, which gave them a 10-0 lead. Redskins then got the football again, and AD doing his thing again. Adrian Peterson with some more good carries, including a 4th and 1 deep in Redskins territory in which Jay decided to go for it. It was 4th and inches, really, and a great block by the fullback. Let me see if I can remember his name. Don't tell me. J.D. Holtz with a great block, allowing Adrian Peterson to jump cut to the outside. They make a cutback after a nice block by Vernon Davis, giving them an opportunity to cut back by the sidelines and pick up an additional 7-8 yards for a gain of 15 on 4th and 1. Redskins ultimately bogged down after a nice completion from Alex Smith to P. Rich, in which P. Rich left his feet, which I didn't think he needed to do, but then compounded the matter by falling down. If he doesn't fall down, the defender on the play overruns the play, and Richardson would have been able to stick his foot in the ground, cut it back, and possibly would have scored. There was no more Bronco defenders, and it would have turned into a foot race. I like my chances with P. Rich in a foot race against anybody. So instead, he gets tackled for a gain of about 21. Redskins end up settling for a field goal, and it was 10-3. Broncos get the football and moving right back down the field. Emmanuel Sanders with a nice catch down the sidelines. They then run a reverse with Emmanuel Sanders. Redskins with a poor exhibition of tackling. It was one of the worst tackling exhibitions I've seen from this team in quite some time. Apke had a dead center shot at Emmanuel Sanders, and E-Man Sanders simply cut back on him and dragged Troy Apke for about 4 yards before Apke finally gave up on the play and dove and missed. And then you got another shot of Dunning getting his ass whooped, getting blocked down the field with the worst attempt at a tackle that I've seen out of a Redskin corner since the days of David Amerson. It was bad, and he walks into the end zone for another touchdown. It's 17-3 at that point. And that was your score at halftime. And the Broncos have since tacked on 3 more field goals to make it 26-3. The Redskins scored a touchdown with Hogan at quarterback in the 4th quarter to make it 26-10. A touchdown pass to wide receiver Simi Cobbs Jr. So that's how we've gotten to 26-10. Been a very disappointing night. Other than AP running the rock, it's been a very, very disappointing night for Redskins fans watching this game. So Did I say Swearinger on that play? It was Swearinger. I said Swearinger. It was Swearinger, both safeties, and Dunny at the cornerback position that had a chance to tackle the running back, and they just missed. They all whiffed. All of them got a piece of them. None of them wrapped him up. None of them brought him down. And by the way, somebody just made note of this in the comment section, so I do need to reiterate this. The Redskins defense was awful tonight, and it wasn't just a lack of pass rush that was crippling the Redskins. Case Keenum had all night to do whatever the hell he wanted. You can do whatever you like. Yeah, he could do whatever he wanted tonight. No pass rush whatsoever. But to make matters worse, the DBs didn't hold it down. Josh Norman was beat several times, including a couple of times by Broncos rookie wide receiver Cortland Sutton out of SMU. And so was Dunny. Dunny was beat several times by some savvy veterans. He was beat by Demaryius Thomas. He was beat by E-Man Sand. And he also got a little piece of the rookie Cortland Sutton as well. So Dunny had a rough night. Didn't tackle well. Didn't cover well. Norman had a rough night. The only DBs that had a strong showing tonight were Fabian Moreau, and even Fab had his hiccups tonight, but Fab gave up the deep ball down the sideline to E-Man Sand, but that's E-Man Sand. But nonetheless, Fab had a nice breakup on a third down that forced the Broncos to kick their first field goal in the slot, so that was nice to see. And then Adonis Alexander got some reps early in this game. I'm talking first quarter early. Second quarter, I should say. Second quarter early. And then made a nice breakup in the third quarter of a pass that would have resulted in a huge gain. He stacked the receiver, meaning he railed him towards the sideline, put his arm on him, arm barred him, and had a feel for the receiver. Didn't impede him, but knew where he was. Then turned and located football and raked it out. Beautiful play by L.A.B. He looked good tonight. Tackled well. Had a nice tackle on the third down on a completion in front of him and forced the Broncos to kick another field goal. So L.A.B. looked good. Fab looked good, but Troy Apke stunk it up tonight. DJ Swearinger did not have a strong night. None of the corners that started out wide and Norman or Dunny had a good night. It was rough all the way around, and I don't want to beat up the secondary without killing the defensive line. They got zero pressure on the quarterback tonight. No sacks of Case Keenum. We did sack Chad Kelly, but we did not sack Case Keenum at all tonight. He was rarely pressured. I think he might have gotten pressured maybe twice on the night. There was one play where he had literally 7 or 8 seconds to throw the football. He ended up finding Cortland Sutton for a first down, 11-yard completion. There was a 3rd and 15 after the Redskins made a couple of nice defensive stops on the ground. The Broncos had 3rd and 15, and they throw a 16-yard pass, reminiscent of the Redskins' third down defense from 2 years ago. Not last year's third down defense, but 2 years ago when it was statistically the worst third down defense in NFL history. It was an all-around bad night defensively for the Redskins. They just gave up another field goal. For those of you keeping score at home, it's now 29-10. But again, it's preseason, and you don't want to go overboard. But the biggest takeaway from tonight's game is that there is life in the run game with Adrian Peterson. So you got to feel good about that. Extreme Archery says, first team looks crap. The play calling looks crappy. Norman looks like a bum. Ziggy Hood sucks. Maybe they should move. I'm not doing this with you tonight. I am not doing this. Matthew Lynch says, I think the offensive line was really good, especially pass blocked against the two-headed monsters and Miller and Chubb. I actually thought they held their own as well. a lot of the sacks, because Alex Smith was sacked tonight, I believe, twice. I think both of those sacks were Smith stepping up in the pocket and pretty much running into sacks, not guys with immediate pressure. I even thought Ty and Second came in and did a bang-up job for the most part, and so did Jerron Christian. So it is what it is. Extreme Archery says, Deron Payne looked okay. I guess. He had the one tackle against the running back. He had the one tackle for about a 1 yard gain against the running back that he looked good on, but no pressure on the quarterback from him this week. I got really excited last week with the first possession against the Jets, him getting a sack. Saw none of that tonight. And that might have just been against an inexperienced quarterback in the Jets offensive line that may be okay, but not great. But didn't see any pressure from him tonight. The pressure that we did get on Case Keenum on that one play that he had that got deflected by Mason Foster, that came via Jonathan Allen and P. Boogie off the edge. So wasn't a lot of pressure to speak of tonight. Extreme Archery says, I bet this wouldn't happen with Kendall Fuller. Hard to say, because especially if he would have switched positions to a boundary corner instead of the slot, hard to say that transition would have went just as seamless as his move to slot did. So, yeah, impossible to say. You still need pressure on the quarterback, man. Adrian Peterson's final stat line is 11 rushes for 56 yards, averaging a little bit over 5 yards a tote. He was outstanding tonight, and that gives us hope for the future, man. It does in the run game for sure. Skins Tribe says, what's your overall as a Skins fan? 99 being the best, 55 being the lowest. I would put myself at a 96 rating. I'm a 96 rating. If you're rating me, if we were having a Madden game for fans, I'd be a 96 overall. I'm not quite 99 because I don't necessarily get into the day-to-day stuff. Like, I don't watch Jay Gruden's press conference after every training camp practice. And if you're a 99, you got to be all over everything. Because I break down all 32 teams in the league, it does take away from my ability to just focus in on the Redskins. If I just was like some of the YouTube vid makers on YouTube that just focused on their team and their team alone, I'd be a 99 overall. But because Capri Bibbs out in the open space, I need you to score here, Capri. You got to make that last man miss. Capri just had about a 45-yard run. Easily could have been a 65-yard touchdown, but he couldn't make the last guy miss. That'll take us to the 2-minute warning. But Capri Bibbs just broke off a nice run. The 20th mic, well, let's go back up first, make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah. Atlas says, before you leave, can you give me one more? Adrian Peterson. The 20th mic says, how did Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen play together? Nothing out the ordinary. It wasn't like last week where we were running twists and stunts and we were getting pressure and it was crazy and they looked like they were going to make beautiful music together. They got stonewalled tonight. You know, you didn't hear much of anything from either one of those dudes. Now, again, Allen did have pressure a couple of times. Payne had the nice tackle on the running back where he had to chase him down. And Payne looks like he's in tremendous shape. Let me reiterate that. I talked about that earlier, but he looks like he's in tremendous shape. So we'll see what happens. Jew24 says, offense may struggle because Jay does not like to run the ball. We shall see. Look, I keep going back to this because in my heart of heart believes that Jay will run it if we're having success. Last year, if you remember, in the Rams game, when we ran for over 230 yards on the ground, in week 2, Jay kept feeding the running backs in that game. We had success, and Jay kept pounding them, and we kept gashing them. and Jay kept running it because they couldn't stop it. I wouldn't ask Jay to keep banging his head up against a brick wall. Why would Jay keep running the ball when you're averaging 3.1 yards a carry? 3.1 times 3 is 9.3 in a punt. So why would Jay keep doing it? And to take it a step further, that 3.1, and I'm not saying that's what the Redskins averaged last year as a team. They probably averaged more along the lines of like 3.4. But Jay as a team, when we would run the football, Jay, we would have a -1, we would have a no gain, we would have a -4, and then you would get a 8 sprinkled in there. Chris Thompson would bust off one for 12, and it would make the average look better than what it was. We stunk running the ball last year. We were funky. Why would you keep running it if you can't run? So I don't blame Jay for not running it when he didn't run it. I think he'll run it because he has a back that he thinks he can run it with. And that's why he wanted to run it tonight. Vincent Cole says, Devontae Booker basically done. He said, is Devontae Booker basically done? No. He actually looked good tonight. Between him and Freeman, they ate us up tonight. Both of them ran it effectively. KC says, hey, man, how you doing? Just finished watching the game, and I saw you were still streaming. We played terrible, but I don't know because we got all day. I told you that's the biggest takeaway from the game. It's still in progress with 1 minute and 57 seconds left. But the biggest takeaway is Adrian Peterson. Like, nobody cares. When you go to the major outlets, the NFL networks, the ESPN, you think they're going to be talking about 29-10? They don't give a shit about the score. They don't care that the Broncos made our defense look like Swiss cheese tonight. They don't give a shit about that. You know what? The Redskins are going to get 1 minute on ESPN and 5 minutes on NFL Network. And 4.5 of those 5 minutes on NFL Network will be talking about Adrian Peterson. And of that minute on ESPN, 47 seconds will be Adrian Peterson. No, that whole minute is Adrian Peterson. They don't give a shit about the score or the way that we got dominated tonight. The talk will be Adrian Peterson. And so that's the biggest takeaway is that, one, we didn't get any injuries. So let's clap that up. Let's golf clap that first and foremost. That's the most important thing. No injuries, and Adrian Peterson looked good. Now, if you want to delve deeper as a Redskin fan, then you say the defense was horrendous. The passing game was trash. And we got a long way to go. But then you say to yourself, we didn't play our star. Some of the starters didn't play. And Jay didn't plan for any of this. He didn't game plan for this. So you take it with a grain of salt. Capri Bibbs on the screen. John Perez says, I know it's preseason, but I'm surprised you didn't go on a rant. Nah, for what? It's preseason, bro. I learned my lesson from last year. Last year, I went on a super rant during the Bengals game. Super rant. During the third preseason game. For what? It's the preseason. For what? Like, and I know better. I knew better last year. And I let my emotions get the best of me. I'm normally, honestly speaking, I'm normally even keel when I watch the game unless somebody does something really stupid, then I snap. But for the most part, I sit and I watch the game in silence because I know what's going on. It's like I don't need to get bent out of shape. But last year I got bent out of shape because I wanted to see more. And I was expecting more and we didn't get more. This year, I understood that there was a chance that we would struggle because in the first preseason game, the first team offense didn't play. In the second preseason game, they played a drive. And so you're going to just show up in the third preseason game and think you're just going to hit the ground running and just dominate? I don't think so. So, and there was no rant coming tonight. I said what I had to say, and like I said, the word of the night is disappointed. I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I'm not mad. I'm not going to go crazy over this. I'm disappointed. Vincent Cole says Simi Cobb's making the team, right? No, he's not. He doesn't. Simi Cobbs doesn't stand a chance of making this squad. He might have a chance of making a practice squad, though. But he don't have a chance in hell at making this roster. Chris Davis says, what is AD starting at in the distance? Staring at, he says. I have the slightest idea what he was staring at. Couldn't tell you. Make sure you use the hashtag LouieTLive if you want your comment read. We've got another 57 seconds left in the game before we get out of here. The score is 29 to 10. Broncos are up. 29 to 10. Chris Hogan throws to Kidsey, and it's incomplete. Redskins got a pass interference penalty that kept the drive alive. Redskins Pride says, I am pulling for Phil Taylor, who actually had a nice game tonight when he got a shot. AP, Simi, Hamilton, Johnson. I can tell you of those 5 names, one is definitely making a roster in AD. Of the other 4, 3 have a realistic shot of making a roster in Phil Taylor, Hamilton, and Johnson. Simi Cobbs has 0% chance to make the team. 0. He's not even on the radar right now. He's got a chance to maybe be on the practice squad. I don't see anybody claiming him off of waivers, seeing as if he wasn't even drafted and he hasn't had that good of a preseason. So if the Redskins want to retain his services on the practice squad, I think he'll be a guy that will be a candidate. KC says, any thoughts on Trey Quinn? I haven't really been overly impressed with Trey Quinn. Not like I thought I was going to be. Watching him on tape at SMU, dude was freaky at SMU. You know, breaking dudes off. High volume number of targets and catches. Obviously, we haven't seen him touch it a lot in the preseason. I thought he actually looked pretty solid versus the Jets. This week, though, not a lot to show for his efforts. So, I think, though, when it's all said and done, he's going to get an opportunity to make this football team. Next week will be I don't really think next week is going to have too much impact on who makes the roster. Like, by the time next week's game rolls around, 51 of the 53 roster spots would have already been determined. Like, they already know who's making the team. You might have 1 or 2 spots up for grabs, but for the most part, those dudes are playing the whole game. Like, what are you really trying to evaluate when you got dudes playing, 46 out of a 48-minute game? Like, these dudes are playing the entire game. They're dog tired. It's hard to evaluate these guys in those types of situations. Like I said, the roster is pretty much decided by end of tonight's game. I think Trey Quinn, when it's all said and done, is going to make the roster over Sims and Brian Quick. They love Brian Quick as a special teams player, but he doesn't really offer you much in the way of a receiver. They like Cam Sims' size and his playmaking ability, as we've seen in this preseason, but he got hurt, and I don't think that benefited him in trying to fight for one of those 53-man roster spots. So I think it's going to be Quinn. I think it's going to be Doxson, P. Rich, touchdown Redskins, Kidsey with the catch as the Redskins score with about 25 seconds left in the game to make it 29 to 16, 17 pending the extra point. They may go for 2. We'll see what happens, but you know, it's going to be P. Rich, Doxson, Crowder, Mo Harris, and Quinn. Again, if they keep 5, if they keep 6, that's when you get into the Cam Sims, the 2 size guys, Sims and Quick. Which one of those guys gives you the best opportunity to win and gives you the most versatility? I think that they may go with Sims in a situation like that, but they really value what Brian Quick brings in the special teams game. So we'll see. Pablo Alberto says, how is A.J. Johnson doing? He's going to be great. Who is A.J. Johnson? I have the slightest idea. We have a Danny Johnson on our team. I don't know of an A.J. Johnson. Maybe A.J. Johnson plays for the Broncos. I don't know. KC says, Prince Aurora looked nice today, at least. He's not going to make this roster either. So maybe another candidate for the practice squad. But at the cornerback position, you've got Jano, you've got Dunbar, you've got Fab Moreau, you've got Adonis Alexander. That's 4 for sure locks. Those 4 are going to be on the roster for sure. Then you start looking at the other guys, being that they cut Orlando Scandrick. You've got to think that Stroman, I think, is making his roster. They like Stroman. He played at Virginia Tech. He was coached by our secondary coach, Torian Gray. They selected him in the draft. Stroman's making a roster, I think. So that's 5. And then you look at Danny Johnson. They've been using him on punts and kickoffs. I think Danny is a guy that they really like, not just as an offensive player, but also on special teams. So I'm thinking that if they go 6 corners, Danny Johnson will be your 6th and final corner on this Redskins roster. So we'll see. So that's the game. Broncos win 29-17. Adrian Peterson is the storyline leaving this game. Obviously, the number 1 takeaway, no injuries. The number 2 takeaway is Adrian Peterson looked outstanding, which gives us hope for balance on the offensive side of the football, and hope that the run game can actually be a key contributor in 2018. So that's going to do it for us on this live stream, breaking down the Redskins' 3rd preseason game. Broncos get the win 29-17. The Broncos looked great with their first team on the field. Offensively, Case Keenum was outstanding. His supporting cast was phenomenal. They spread the football around. Jeff Hireman had a catch. Jake Butt had a catch. Emmanuel Sanders had a few catches. Demaryius Thomas had a catch or 2. Their rookie lit us up in Cameron Sutton. So they spread it around. They got the little scat back running back number 2 involved. Freeman ate us up, had a nice touchdown run where he did exactly what he used to do at Oregon, which is break arm tackles and run with power. And he ran for about a 22, 24-yard touchdown and ran through 3 arm tackles in the process to get into the end zone. Broncos dominated us on the offensive side, and then defensively, the Redskins just couldn't use some momentum that they got from the run game and transfer that over to the passing game. And never really got in sync tonight, and the Broncos were able to prevail 29-17. So that's going to do it for your man, Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me here on this live stream. Remember, I am a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold until we meet again. Hail to our beloved Washington Redskins. I am not going live for the 4th preseason game. What I will do, though, is what I did last year. After the 4th preseason game, we will come and we will talk about the 53-man roster. So we'll look to talk about that, break down who we think will make this football team, and look at the positions and try to come up with a 53-man roster of our own. Last year, I think I nailed 48 of the 53 players, so I think I missed 5. A lot of my misses came in the trenches on the defensive and offensive lines. So I'm looking to be a little bit better this year. And so we'll see you guys, or I'll see you guys next time. Remember, we're changing the game one live stream at a time. Make sure you like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Louie.